It's time for the show. Where is everybody? Hi there. I'm Kermit the Frog, and we're almost ready.
How you doing? Name's Robin. Nice to be you, but you can call me Chuck.
I'd now like to introduce you to your pilot, a person who has been with this program since its inception. Captain, are you ready?
WDW Radio, your information station.
Hello, my friend, and welcome to the WDW Radio Show, your passport to the Disney parks. I am your host, Lou Mangello, and this is show number 781. And together, as we have been since 2004 when I wrote my very first Walt Disney World trivia book, I wanted to not only help you have the best possible vacation experience when you go to the parks, but I also want to bring you a little bit of that Disney magic here on the podcast, my weekly live video every Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook, blog, events, weekly newsletter, and more. Please join the community and find everything at WDWRadio.com. And I'm going to open up the inbox again this week and answer more of your emails about more Muppets in the Disney parks, a secret Disney Cruise Line dessert experience, fall crowds, Disneyland tours, visiting Tokyo Disneyland, and why it's not very easy, and a dinner crawl idea where I'm going to turn to you for your input and more. Then stay tuned for our trivia question of the week, where you can enter for a chance to win a Disney Prize package and more updates at the end of the show. Be sure to connect with me on social. I am at Lou Mangello, and subscribe to our free weekly newsletter, which contains information and updates so you don't miss a thing. And when you do, you can get a copy of my free 102 Things to Do in Walt Disney World at least once book. And if you like what you hear, please share the show and tell a friend. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's episode of the WDW Radio Show. It is time once again to dive into the mailbag to answer some of the questions that you have sent my way, from Disney dining, I hope, because I love talking about food, to secret spots in the parks and practical and tactical advice. We, not me, have got you covered. And I say we because I cannot tackle these questions alone. And joining me today is a special guest. She's special. She's very special, but she's also as knowledgeable about Disney travel as Mickey is about magic, as I am about the boathouse. She is the sultan of suitcases, the guru of getaways, and the only person I know who can outplan a Disney planner. She is, of course, the one, the only, the chief travel officer and magic maker over at Mousefan Travel and MEItravel.com, one Becky Menken.
.com. This is like deja vu, apparently. I feel like I've relived this moment. However, of course, in email segments, it's been a while, so I'm not quite sure where I'm getting that feeling from.
I am not going. See, I wasn't going to talk about your grandma technical issues before we started.
What?
Wait, listen. Becky, the one thing I love email segments, not just because we get to do this together, but I love being able to not just share ways for people to enhance their enjoyment and appreciation of the parks, but I really love being able to get granular and answer the individual questions that people have. Because I've always believed that if one person has a question or an idea, the chances are there's 1, 5, 10 other people who are listening who may probably have that similar question or might get some ideas or inspiration from it as well. So we're going to open up the inbox, and
which is really, really full, by the way.
It's really
I'm
full.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm metaphorically going to stick my hand in and just grab one out. We don't go over these ahead of time. I think that's part of the adventure. It's part of the fun. It's why you hate it so much.
I have so much terror every time we do these.
But what
could
I like to
possibly
do
go
is
wrong?
I will quickly skim like the subject line and see what pops up. And that's why Darren from Maine is the first email we're going to answer, because I saw one word and it was Muppets.
I thought it was
Darren
food.
says, listening to old episodes as I do in that thing called the gym, there was a lot of talk about Muppets in the parks, hopefully. The last episode I listened to on the topic was the 2016 year in review.
That's a while ago.
I know. It's 2024, and sadly, I don't think we've seen anything close to what many of us had hoped for in regards to more Muppets in the parks. I'm a guy who, when I was a kid, my mom took me to the store to get a toy. I'm with you, Darren. I bought the Stretch Serpent. I know exactly what you're talking about because obviously I already had the Stretch Armstrong. Becky doesn't know what any of those words are. Raise your hand if you're listening at home and had a Stretch Armstrong as a kid. Anyway, after a day.
Wait. It was like Mr. Incredible, but you stretched him. Sorry.
whatever your free association, wherever that takes you is fine. Anyway,
okay.
After a day of having it, Darren asked his mom to bring him back to the store so he could exchange it for something else. And he came home with a stuffed Fozzie Bear. Aww. So what I'm saying is, I love the Muppets. What gives, man? What I can really imagine is Muppets on the cruise ships. Great characters in a fun alternate Disney space, right? Anyway, I love what this WDW Radio family is all about. And thanks to you and Becky for all you do. I have to read this out loud, I guess. Love the email shows the best. I give them a 33 out of 10. That's
a good number too. That's awesome.
That's playing to the email.
We need to do this more often. Like Muppets. What? Like, okay, I got to stop because when he said that and he's got his Fozzie Bear, right? When I first went to Walt Disney World way back when my then fiance took me, I had him buy me a Bean Bunny, a stuffed Bean Bunny. And I brought Bean Bunny home because I loved that attraction so much. And I fell in love with Bean Bunny. Remember the stuffed Bean Bunny?
I do. But all I can think about now is finding that man, that poor, sweet, broken man, and getting him on the show to really sort of dig down deep into not just I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions for him. But back to Muppets. I, like you, have always been a huge Muppet fan. You know what? I will embarrass myself, Becky. So I have a younger brother. He's 6 years younger than I. We've been like best friends since we were little kids. Every Sunday, as Italian families in New Jersey do, you go on the 2-hour drive down the Belt Parkway into Brooklyn to go to your grandmother's house for a 9-hour Sunday dinner and then stop at Nathan's in Coney Island on the way home. Anyway.
You ate for 9 hours, then you go to Nathan's?
Yeah, whether you were hungry or not. Oh, you're not hungry? Here's 2 pounds of pasta. And then my dad would stop at Nathan's on the way home, which was awesome because you had another 2 hours on the Belt Parkway and the Verrazano Bridge. Whatever. My brother and I were always huge Muppet fans, and I don't know why I'm choosing to share this because I trust you, and I trust you, my friend, the listener who's sitting here with us. My brother and I had Muppet puppets. We had like all of them. Like we had Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, Ralph, and somebody else. And the way her kitchen was, there was like the kitchen, and then there was like a pass through, and then like the dining room, like with the long table with the 25, fat Italian people screaming at each other on a Sunday. And my brother and I, who will now probably kill me if he hears this, we put on like a little Muppet puppet show. Like we sort of like recreated the Muppet movie. We sang all the songs. We did. My poor family who had to sit through that. That I don't know why this brought back that core memory.
Maybe you should like reenact that for Darren so he can feel closer to the Muppets.
But I agree with you, Darren. And, when Disney bought the Muppets from the Henson Company back in 2004, which I can't believe is 25 years ago. And I think the number was like $75 million, which still sort of feels like it's a discount. We talked about on the show that our wants, our desires, our predictions for more Muppets in the parks. We talked, and I've done on the show the Muppets that never were in Walt Disney World. I think I just did it relatively recently on an archive show. 723 was the Muppets in Walt Disney World that never were. Because there were original plans for Disney MGM Studios, where Sunset Boulevard is, for a huge sort of Muppet-themed land. And we did get it a little bit on the cruise line with the Midship Detective Agency and some of the Muppet capers that you could do there. and we've had other iterations of shows in the parks in Walt Disney World, but I too have always been surprised that they did not lean into and leverage this property more. And maybe it's because, Becky, the Muppet movie, the first Muppet movie, was great, right? I'm having a me party. Am I a man or a Muppet? Yeah. The second one was okay. The Muppet TV show that they tried to bring back to ABC did not necessarily perform as well. And maybe that's what has stalled, or at least sort of they have not maybe come up with the idea yet as to how and where and maybe why to bring the Muppets to life in the parks again.
That's so true, because there was a lot of anticipation for that return of the Muppet Show, and it kind of fell flat, and I'm not sure why. What I would love to see, if there was any attraction that you could do a Muppet overlay, I would love to see a Haunted Mansion Muppet overlay. I think that would be so much fun after seeing the movie, obviously.
I think that it's funny that you said that, because I think that the Muppets Haunted Mansion on Disney Plus from 2021, although I was like, was this last year? No, it was like 3 years ago. I think it is some of the best Muppets we've seen since the original like Muppet Show and Muppet movie.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I would love to see more of them in the parks. I'm with him. I'm with Darren. It's a very underutilized IP for a company that really does try to stretch every dollar out of everything it's purchased, and not having more than just what we're seeing now. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement there. There
has to be something that we're missing, right? Because for a while they were leveraging the property. So do you remember the Muppet and Star Wars crossover figures that you used to be able to buy? Not only figures, but during Star Wars weekends.
Right.
Princess Leia, you could see, God, like I'm trying to remember the different characters. I had those and I sold them on eBay, which now I'm regretting because I'd love to have them. Listen.
You got to stop. You got to stop. Think about your purge. Think about the purge before you purge it.
But as they started to, especially with Star Wars, sort of make the franchise a little bit more serious, and they sort of took away some of those crossovers, we did start to see less and less even of the Muppet figures in the park. The Stage One company store is a shell of what it once was. Yeah, I mean, because not only was there great Muppet merch and Muppet Babies merch in there was great sort of Easter eggs and tributes to the movies and the Muppet Show and some of the Muppets that we've seen on the big screen over the years.
Yeah, and what great roam characters around the park those are too for meet and greets. I loved some of the things that they used to do, and we just haven't seen anything. So yeah, now this whole question's making me sad because I would love to see more of this.
We still have, right, Muppet Vision 3D. And we still have the Muppet Courtyard. And I've always sort of, every time I go there, I'm like, is this the day that I see that the walls go up, right? Does this attraction change? Can or do you update it for a next generation of audiences? Does Muppet Vision 3D go away? Look, the theater is not always packed, right? Which is oftentimes sort of the death knell for an attraction going away. The same thing would happen, though. You take away Muppets, it's like taking away Maelstrom, it's like taking away the Adventures Club. All the Muppet fans will like revolt and start chaining themselves to the Miss Piggy fountain. But, what do you do to potentially freshen up that attraction and even that area as a whole? Because you have Pizza Rizzo there, so you still have that Muppet feel. But I think that you could really sort of lean into it, probably not at a huge expense too. Go back, make Mama Melrose's the Gonzo's Pizza Kitchen that it was supposed to be.
Yeah, that would be so much fun. And now I'm sitting here wondering why aren't they taking advantage of that investment? And do they have other plans in there that they're just not telling us about? Are we going to hear something at D23 this year that might tell us that?
$60 billion is coming into these parks. Let's see what that's going to look like. But I'm sure it's not for lack of creative ideas, not just from the folks over at WDI, but you who might be listening. How and where would you like to see the Muppets in the parks? I will post this question in the clubhouse. I would love to see your answer there. I'll post it on social, or better yet, if you have an idea and you're screaming at your phone or your car or your dog or your kids, whatever it is right now with the solution, or the idea, call the voicemail at 407-900-9391. That's 407-900-WDW1, and I will play it on the air.
We
Becky,
need more
I told you we were
Pepe
going to go fast.
the shrimp.
And
we need
we're
more
not.
Pepe the shrimp. Sorry, I just just saying. So my favorite characters are in there, and there's so much you could do with that development. Just saying, move on.
I am, and I'm on board with you. And I say this out of pure love. He's not a shrimp; he's a king prawn.
I know, but
Get
I
it right.
I like calling him a shrimp because it would make him mad if you said it.
Wait!
Can you see him go off if you call him a shrimp?
This is going to be so bad. Do not mispronounce who he is. Oh my God! I'm sorry. I have to cut that out. All right, let's move on because I saw two more words that, even though I'm not a sweets guy, caught my attention. And this
Dessert?
one comes. As a matter of fact, yes. My family and I are going on the Disney Wish for the first time in October this year, and I just learned today about how DCL has a dessert experience on each of their ships across the fleet. I want to book the dessert experience at Enchanté, but I have an egg allergy. Do you know if the Wish will accommodate food allergies for this type of specialty experience? Can't find anything, but that indicates that they will. I know Disney in general is great about accommodating food allergies, but I'm concerned because this is an exclusive event with exclusive desserts that's only meant for those who can eat desserts on the menu without making any modifications. You know, anyone who's done this experience who has a food allergy and is accommodated, thank you for your help. And that is from Laura Russell. So Laura, great question. Great sort of deep dive into something that a lot of people really don't know about, which are these dessert experiences at the more upscale restaurants. So on the Wish, it is held at Enchanté, which, if you've never been before, has menus by Michelin star chef Arnaud. By that French Michelin star chef,
Yeah.
I want to lament. It is a very small, very intimate experience where you get a tasting of, I think, 5 or 6 different desserts. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, you get the pastry chefs who will come over, and normally the pastry chef and maybe the executive chef will come over, talk about not just the ingredients, but the history and the evolution and the creation of each of these different desserts that range from I've seen things like a creme brulee beer pie, a strawberry sorbet with like a jam and a coulis, other words that I cannot pronounce that involve things like apples and chocolate. And I believe I believe the pricing is still around $60 or so. And from folks I know who have done it, they've raved about it. Now, to your question about accommodating food allergies, I don't want to misspeak because you're right. These are specifically prepared desserts for this experience. However, because this is something that you do need to book in advance, and these often do sell out, so book as far in advance as you can. Reach out to your Mouse Fan travel advisor in order to get some assistance with booking these. So one, don't eat a big meal because you're going to have a lot of desserts. But 2, I would ask in advance from Disney if they are able to accommodate any and all allergies, because I think because this is sort of a fixed menu of items, they might need additional time in advance, or they might not be able to substitute depending on what your special dietary requirement might be.
Exactly. So because this one is so specialized, obviously you want to make sure that they're aware that you have a food allergy beforehand. It's possible that, because I know that there are families where the husband may have an allergy, the wife may want to attend this. They may not be able to accommodate like desserts, obviously, that would fit within the parameters of your allergy needs. However, they might just substitute each of the different courses as they bring it in with something that can be paired to you. But as you said, you have to give them notice up front, well in advance, so that they can properly prepare that. The hard part would be if you just booked it and show up and say, oh, by the way, I have an allergy. This particular experience, they probably would not be able to accommodate it that same day. However, going there or up front when you first book it, contacting the cruise line and letting them know, or through your travel advisor, because we would do that for you, to be able to say, hey, we've got an allergy. Is this going to be something that you can accommodate? And Disney, above many, many others, do their absolute best and do it better than a lot to accommodate different medical and food allergy needs. So if they can, they will.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I just had a conversation with someone who is visiting Walt Disney World and with a large group, excuse me, and said that their large group has a wide spectrum of different food-related desires, allergies, and special needs. And they were concerned, and then they were concerned before they got here, and then realized by the time they left that this is like the only place they can go, because every single one of those allergies was addressed, was able to be accommodated in some form or fashion. And the same holds true for the most part on Disney Cruise Line. But for something like this, I would absolutely check in advance.
Absolutely.
Let's go on to a question from Nick Lucas, who is planning on going to Disney World with his family this first full week in November. What do you think the crowds are going to be like? Before you answer, Becky Menken, the Wine and Dine Half Marathon is the first week in November. And I know Becky loves that weekend, because nothing gets Becky excited more than getting up at 2:00 in the morning to cheer for hours on end. However, traditionally, November in Walt Disney World, that around that time, historically has not been sort of the high season. As soon as you start getting closer to, once you get, it's like the scene from The Jerk. It's in between the chiclet and the juju. Once you get past Halloween, but far enough out from Thanksgiving, those first couple of weeks in November usually are pretty good. The marathon, the Wine and Wine marathon weekend does throw a bit of a wrench in it. You might not necessarily see or feel this marked increase in the guests in the parks, but you will have to sometimes, especially if you are rope dropping parks, you do need to be aware of things like road closures, etc. This way it doesn't necessarily impact your bus route, your car drive in. But while there's a lot of guests that do come in for these events, Becky, I don't really feel that the wait times are, exponentially higher than it would be, throughout this time of the year.
Correct. However, you have to be careful in November too, because you'll run into what is known as Jersey Week, that you should know so much about too. That's when the teachers go on to their educational convention, and the schools up in New Jersey and other areas up there do go on break. So sometimes that's that first week. Most times it's the first week of November. Sometimes it bounces into the second. So that with the marathon in there and the Jersey Week break, that week in particular can be a little more in terms of people showing up. You also run into, that's the first week of when the holiday decorations go up too. So it's almost, if you can miss the first week, do the second week, and then you get into the third week, which is Thanksgiving. You want to avoid that. If you're trying to avoid crowds, avoid that week. But it's almost a surgical strike. You have to kind of look at all the dates and go, okay, this is when Jersey week ends. This is when the marathon is. And here's your 6 days that's kind of perfect before the Thanksgiving rush.
Because it has gotten a little bit more strategic in terms of when you have to try and go. Because you're right. It used to be, you could generalize, this block of time in February, this block of time in September. But now, because of festivals, promotions, international guests, marathons, cheerleading, some of these other things going on, there's a lot of additional factors that don't necessarily reflect on the Disney calendar that you do sort of need to be aware of. And I think that's, again, I'm not trying to sort of shamelessly plug, but that is where like a travel advisor can help you navigate, especially if you are not sort of a frequent visitor during a certain time of the year. Your travel advisor will be able to help guide you through things to look out for one week over another.
Yeah, absolutely. We can look at the calendar. We can try to figure out where it's going to be best. And like right now, the one thing that gives it away really well is Disney's being very strategic about the dates that their offers are available. So when you look at the dates that their offers, right now there's a 30% offer. There's another free dine offer, but it's very strategic on specific dates throughout the calendar that shows you that the hotels aren't as full as they want them to be. That will then also give you that indicator that that's going to be a slower time.
All right, let's move on to the next question. This one comes from Jenna. She says, I am a huge, in all capitals, Disneyland fan. Love the history. Love getting to go backstage on some of the tours that I've been able to enjoy over the years. I loved seeing you on the Happiest Haunts tour last year, which was very cool. Are there any new tours or ones that you would recommend? Jenna, timing is literally everything. And I think that's why I picked this one out, because I literally just saw earlier this morning that Disneyland just announced the return of not one, but two of their fan favorite guided tours. There's the Disneyland Railroad guided tour and the Cultivating the Magic guided tour. If you go, and I'll link in the show notes, if you go, Disneyland has a guided tour page with all of the different tours that are available. But the Cultivating the Magic is really about how the plants and flowers play a role in the storytelling, right? We talk about how your experience is meant to be savored using all five senses in 360 degrees. So whether it's the flower beds on Main Street or the exotic plants that you see on the Jungle Cruise, you'll learn a lot more about landscaping and how horticulture and how it contributes to the storytelling within the park, from the floral Mickey at the main entrance through the plants, the Jungle Cruise, and a lot of different themed areas. You also get a keepsake memento at the end of the tour. This is an all-age tour, so kids can come and enjoy this one as well. And the Disneyland Railroad guided tour is amazing. And I love this, Becky, because it touches on Walt the man, right, and his love and passion for trains, and how that literally and figuratively helped shape the Disneyland Resort. Plus, somewhat of a spoiler alert, on this 2-hour tour, you get to go on the Lily Bell, which was the sort of the presidential car on the railroad. So you start your tour off with a little pastry, a little beverage, a little nosh to get your day going. You learn about Walt and his passion for trains and the influence on not just the railroad, but some of the other creations within the park. You get to go to the Roundhouse, which normally is closed off to the public. And then you go on the Lily Bell. Now, I will say as a qualifier, and ask this in advance, the availability of the Lily Bell does depend on operational conditions, weather. So it's not necessarily available for every single tour. So definitely set your expectations accordingly, and ask when you book. And you can start booking those tours, depending on when you're listening, either in the past or right now, beginning on April 30th. And those tours are going to kick back up on May 11th. But Becky, there's also there's VIP tours. There's the Walt Main Street Story Tour.
And that one, the Main Street Story Tour, if you are really into Walt and his story and the history, that's the secret sauce, because for that 90-minute tour, that's the one that actually takes you into the apartment. Yeah. And it's the only tour that does that as a guarantee at this time. So a lot of people have always said, I really want to just see what's inside the apartment. And you and I have been lucky enough to have been able to see it on a few occasions. And it really is a magical place to stand. It's so neat to be behind that lamp that you look up at and see what Walt looked at when he watched people come into the park to enjoy his creation. So that's one of my very favorite tips to give people, is take 90 minutes out of your day and take that tour.
Yeah. And that one runs, I know the Walt tour is about $160, I believe. And I don't see, I just popped on the Disneyland website. They don't have, as of right now, they don't have pricing available for the two tours that are going to be coming back. But you're right, Becky. You talk about sort of walking where Walt walked, standing on hallowed ground. There is something very special about standing inside Walt's apartment, because it's where he not just walked, but where he stayed, and where you sort of imagine these conversations that get to happen. I've shared my story about our adventures by Disney.
I was waiting for that because I think it's because of you that they actually blocked that off now.
All right. So very quick story. So
Go ahead.
On the first time we ever did it was called Backstage Magic at the time. We've already talked, Becky, quick tangent. We've talked recently, as we've talked about going to do this again, doing this tour again. And I think we need to do this Adventures by Disney to Hollywood and Southern California and Disneyland again. You walk into Walt's apartment, very, very, very small groups, just a couple of people at a time. You see, Lillian's chair. You see the lamp from the inside looking out. You look at the view that Walt had. You see where he made his chili and his crackers. And everybody's sort of looking around and going to these places that Walt stood, and he said, not this guy. I walked around the corner, and I went where Walt, I know where the best ideas came from. It wasn't from his office. It wasn't from the formal office over there on Flower Street, or over by the studios. I went to Walt's bathroom. And I wanted to sit where Walt sat. And I'm like, and I'm like, come on, baby, just give me the inspiration. Cause that's when you do your best thinking. Did you have a selfie there? Did you sit there and take a selfie? Because but now I regret not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if we took a picture of that or not, but I wasn't sure if I was embarrassed or if that was
jealous.
Brilliant.
You were jealous. Now, to be clear, I sat on top of the lid. Don't get weird about it. But I did. I was like, I can imagine this is where, Walt had his quiet time, and Walt did, his best, distraction-free thinking. Doesn't have a cell phone. He was just, doing his thing. Anyway, you can't do that anymore. I'm sorry.
No, because they have this wonderful little stanchion that's it tells you, do not walk in here. And I'm amazed they don't have a do not let this man in this bathroom picture next to it or something. But
it's fine. I had my moment, and I'm very happy. All right.
But a lot of people don't know too that to the side of that, so the bathroom's to the right, and if you go off to the left, there's a little stairway that leads to the outdoor patio. And it's really hidden by trees in the park, but you could sit on the patio and listen to all the people and listen to the conversations and listen to the families and watch the parade. And it's a neat little hidden gem up there.
Same thing. You imagine Walt, early in the morning with a cup of coffee, or at the end of the day, watching over, and seeing the joy that these families have in this place that he built, and the realization of his dream. Not to sort of all get waxing poetic, but you can't help but feel that way.
You do. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on. Tom Samoygi has a question that, again, one word made this one jump out for me, and that word.
Food.
No. There's food there, but he wanted to ask about Tokyo Disney, because that trip is coming up on his family's radar. They're headed to Hawaii next summer, and will maybe hit Japan in 2025 or 2026. Tom, let me stop you right there. If you're going to Hawaii, man, you're halfway there. Just keep going. Just lay over at Hawaii, get some food, get some poi, have some good tuna, and then just hop on over. It's right across the street. Anyway, I wanted to ask if it's as crazy as we're hearing to plan this trip, where DVC members would be absolutely wanting to do a stay or want to stay at a Disney resort. But that being said, have been hearing that obtaining a room can be something of a nightmare. Looking for any type. Becky is nodding her head as if she's having some sort of grand mal seizure. Take care and keep up the great work. So, Becky, Tokyo is a unique animal, not just because I think you're in agreement with me that it may be the best of the best of the best and most beautiful of all the Disney parks, but booking trips there does bring with it a little bit of additional complexity. Yeah.
It's extraordinarily complicated. There's a few reasons why. First of all, I think most people know, but if you don't, Tokyo Disney Resort is not really part of Disney. So you're not going to find Disney destinations packages selling Tokyo. The government also has their hands in who can sell when for any packages or hotels in Tokyo. So unfortunately, for travel planners like myself, it's almost impossible for us to buy and locate and find vacation packages staying at the Disney hotels. That's because of the complexities of the government and their rules, and then the company that actually runs the Tokyo Disney Resort. So unfortunately, a lot of third-party providers that we used to use, it was so complex for them to get availability, they just kind of gave up and said, you know what, we're just not selling this right now. So it's been difficult for everybody. If you want a vacation package at one of the official Disneyland resorts there in Tokyo, the best thing to do is go to their website when it opens for your date. And it's like getting Run Disney bibs. It's like getting D23 tickets. You have to be there and grab it when it opens, because it goes that fast. And I think that that's one of the reasons why they don't make it easy, because there's a ton of demand and there's not a lot of availability. So they've decided just to we're just going to put it on the website. People can then book it themselves and nobody has an advantage. I think that that's actually their thinking. There are some ways around it if you can't get it. There are hotels that are in the area and in the vicinity, but they're not the official Tokyo resorts. Now, it's going to be less expensive, but you won't get some of the benefits on site. That's one thing that Tokyo Disney does really well, is they offer early entry. If you stay at the resort, there's other perks. And while you look at it and say 15 minutes isn't really a lot of time, you and I both know by looking at the lines, we had that 15-minute advantage to get in before the massive crowds that were standing out in the Esplanade waiting to get in. That 15 minutes is huge. So there are strategies, there are things that you can do. You kind of have to weigh what your priorities are. Does that 15 minutes matter to you? Does cost matter to you? Because again, there's other hotels that you can, and we can book, obviously, that aren't Disney hotels. We can do packages along the outside area, but it's complicated. And the best thing to do is just log onto the Tokyo Disney Resort and learn a little bit about the things that are available and the window of when it's going to open when you want to go.
Yeah, and there is a, we're saying this not jokingly, there is a learning curve to booking a Disney hotel, even via the site. So when you go to the hotels tab on the English version of the Tokyo Disney Resort website, you don't go to a booking page. You go to a page that explains about advanced reservations for room only, vacation packages, some of the other options, restaurants and lounge. And it sort of takes you through that before you can even tap through to a hotel reservation site, which has this grid with check-in dates and reservation start dates, because you do have that window. And it seems, you're limited in terms of what you can book and when and where. So you do really have to plan in advance. If you think, if you think coming to Walt Disney World is complicated, Tokyo Disney Resort says, hold my sake. So, it's worth it. It is absolutely worth it. And getting assistance is very, very helpful, especially from people who have done it before, because there are additional challenges and navigation things, but it pays dividends when you step foot on property.
Right. And if you want to stay on property, like I said, turn to the Tokyo Disney Resort, educate yourself. If you're okay with staying at one of the Good Neighbor hotels, they call it the exact same thing, then a travel planner can help you with those. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. If you're not quite ready to step into the pool, and you want some help, that's going to be where we can help.
All right, let's quickly, let's hit a couple more. I don't think we've talked about food enough. So,
or Tokyo. I mean, if there were more Tokyo questions, I'm okay with that.
I would do a breakaway, Tokyo Disney podcast. Back to
back Japan. Just saying.
Bring it. My kids are in college. I'll stay in Tokyo forever. I don't love the empty nest. Anyway, so Alexa, sorry if I just made your Alexa go off. Alexa says, I just got back from the world and I'm already questioning if I should just move down to Orlando so I don't have to fight the going home blues again. Alexa, I will answer that for you. The answer is yes. It is the best thing I ever did, and I'm not the only lunatic that moved down here. Anyway, I spent... So wait, go back and listen to our Moving to Disney shows, which are in the 500 somewhere. I promise, I've been promising this for years, I am going to do a follow-up Moving to Disney show very, very soon. Anyway, Alexa says, I spent a lot of time in Disney Springs this trip and feel like I still didn't get a chance to try everything I wanted to. My question for you and Becky is,
hi,
if you were to do a dinner crawl around Disney Springs, doing an appetizer, entree and dessert at a different place. Becky is Googling Disney Springs right now, by the way.
No.
And maybe just for fun, a late night snack or drink, where would you go and what would you order for each course? I want to do something like this next time I visit. Thank you for the incredible content and laughs. Alexa, I think
it's a great
question. And we've sort of talked about this very superficially over the years. Because this really, it's like the Sophie's Choice of dining decisions, right? Because
my gosh,
it is. Well, it's soul crushing. These are soul crushing decisions because some of the best food in Walt Disney World is found at Disney Springs. And, I think you could wait a minute. Wait. I have an idea.
What?
I don't think that we should answer this question right now.
Good, because it's hard.
Right. Because Becky's waving her hands and panicking. So I don't know the answer. No, but I think not only, because I think I think we could make something really fun out of this. Maybe what we'll do is we'll gather a couple of friends, right?
Cool.
And we'll do a show. I'll give people time to prepare in advance rather than just trying to wing it and look through all the menus, because this is very important, especially if Alexa's going to invite me to do this with her when she comes down. And we'll do it like building the perfect Disney Springs meal episode. And each person will choose their appetizer, their entree, their dessert, their drink, and their late night snack. And then we'll sort of talk about each one. And then maybe people can even vote on which one they think is the perfect ideal episode. So it's not just you or I. We have some time to think about it. We get some other folks in. And
we get to try it. We get to go and say, you know what? I need to test my theory before I go public with it. Right.
Down.
So you need to go a few times.
And then wait, if this is not like a complete dumpster fire, we could do it in the other parks.
We could do it in Disneyland. We're going back to Disneyland, by the way.
We could do it to Japan.
We could do it in Japan.
For the month that we're going to be there. I love this. I love this. Maybe I'll grab a couple of folks from the nation or the clubhouse.
My favorite question.
Right. And we'll prepare in advance. Right. So we'll do like a sort of a mini roundtable. Maybe we'll have 6 or so people. We each go through our choices. We lay them out on the site, and then people can come over and vote on which one they like the best. Or you could also submit what you think is your perfect dinner crawl around Disney Springs.
Which is great. I'm sitting here looking at the boathouse and, of course, Chef Art Smith's and going, how would I even decide between the two of those? And that's just 2. So
do you understand why I called it what I called it? It's
wow.
And it's only gotten better. Like it literally is.
There's places I haven't been yet, like Eat. I haven't been there. So I know we're going in June. We're going when I come back in June. So that's going to be one of our meeting locations. So I clearly have to make sure that I go to a couple of these new spots that I haven't been to before I can even possibly answer this question. Just say it.
You're such a giver. We all appreciate that about you.
We gotta go and try them. I wouldn't.
I like this idea. I like this idea.
I do too.
So Alexa, we are going to table your question for an entire episode of the dinner crawl around Disney Springs. I will recruit some nation folks, and we will make this an episode coming soon.
I mean, my gosh, between Sprinkles. I was trying to think of the donut shop, and then there's the other donut place, and then there's the Salt and Straw. I mean, how do you find a dessert?
And those
are just the dessert places.
And there's a new cookie bar.
What?
There's a new cookie bar.
What?
And I don't mean Gideon's.
And you haven't sent me a cookie from...
I have not been there yet. If only there was somebody, anybody
stop.
who would go review Summer House with me.
Stop. In June, we'll go there too. We'll have a breakfast meeting, a lunch meeting, and a dinner meeting, and we'll hit every single spot.
See, that's why I think they're building a hotel next to Disney Springs. What? I did not say that out loud. Whatever. We'll see at Disney.
As they should.
D23. I love this idea. I will reach out to some nation folks, and we will do this soon. And for you listening at home, start to prepare your list of your perfect crawl around Disney Springs. I'll also post this in the clubhouse to give you some time to prepare yours, and then we will have some fun and pick the perfect meal.
Very cool.
Crawl at
That's
Disney
my
Springs.
favorite email, I think, in a long time, because I'm stumped. I could not answer the question. Even if we started to try, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do it justice.
I'm like, okay, where do I put, like, Boathouse has a great appetizer menu, but then there's also things on that I might.
You got to be
put as the
careful
main
because they might just pick up your chair and chuck it into the lake if you're not careful. So
and then I'm thinking like late night, like where would I go late night?
Ooh,
yeah, I have ideas. I don't want to share them yet.
Okay.
I'm going to hold off.
La, 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 la. Okay.
So again,
don't forget this though. Write it down now. Write it down. Okay.
Not only am I writing it down, but I'm telling you who's listening to prepare your answers, and I'll post it again in the. Maybe I'll have you submit them in advance. I'll have people submit them in advance. This way,
so
after we can read them as we are actually doing the show, or we'll do it on a live show. I'll figure it out. But start working on your list. And if you have a question that you would like us to answer on an upcoming episode of the show, you can email me, lou@wdwradio.com. And I promise I answer every single question personally.
And just make sure to tell him to do email shows more often so we can catch up. So it's not like we're sitting here in 2029 and we're reading something from 2024.
Do you know what the solution is to doing them more often?
What's that?
Take me with you on all of your little jaunts and voyages, and we will answer them from exotic destinations around the world.
You are on. I have two that there are two that you need to go see. Absolutely. So you're going on that. But the next time we see each other is in London, Paris.
I
know. I'm going to see you. I won't even see you before that. I'm going to see you in London.
And hopefully we will see some friends there too. We're doing an on the road meetup in London while we were
excited.
there. I am as well. This is something we've.
How long ago was that we did the last one? When was that we did the London meetup?
I don't know. But this one's Sunday, May 19th at the Clifton Fitzroy at Byrne Company. You can go to the events page at WDW Radio to find out more and hopefully join us there. Becky, always, it's fun, slightly frightening and interesting doing these email shows with you, and I appreciate it.
I'm the one that's terrified every single time. I never know what I'm getting myself into. And then, when I call Pepe a shrimp, you just have to understand that there are reasons, because you want him to come back at you with, I'm looking for the reply. Just saying.
Of course, you did that on purpose.
I did, actually. And the other thing is, I was waiting for you to actually read the rest of the desserts that they offer on the Wish, because there are a couple that I was waiting for you to read it because I wanted to see if you would do it, but you just couldn't do it, could you?
I got creme brulee, lemon meringue, strawberry shortcake. It's not strawberry shortcake.
That's a doll, by the way. And
it's also a food, just so you know.
And
mousefantravel.com for all your vacation plans.
I'll put that in the show notes of what it was supposed to be, so that you could. You're funny.
I'm famished, by the way. It's time for our Disney Trivia Question of the Week, where I invite you to test your knowledge of Walt Disney World history, or see how well you pay attention to the details in which you see, hear, remember, or maybe even taste. If you think you know the answer, you can enter for a chance to win a Disney prize package. And this week's trivia contest is once again brought to you by you. And what I mean by that is that when you join the WDW Radio Nation, you can become an important part of every episode, live show, and community. And for as little as $1 per month, not only do you help the show, but you also unlock exclusive rewards like monthly scavenger hunts and trivia quests, monthly group video calls, private community access, and monthly surprise packages from the parks. Plus, your contribution helps our Dream Team project, which sends children with life-threatening illnesses to Walt Disney World through Make-A-Wish. Thanks to you, we've raised more than $550,000 so far. In addition, I am so grateful for your friendship and your help and your support and your love, and I love being able to give back to you each and every month. I want to thank some new and longtime members, including Jared, Mike Arant, the Hoffmans, Stephen R., and Jason and family. To find out how you can help the show and become part of the Nation family, you can visit WDWRadio.com/support. Now, before we get to this week's question, let's go back, review last week's, and select our winner. So I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Shay Spence last week about the hidden gem snacks in Walt Disney World. And of course, I had to make the trivia question about snacks as well. And so I asked you, which iconic Walt Disney World treat made its debut in Disneyland after Walt Disney World in 1986. First, if you entered and got this one correct, which pretty much everybody did, maybe it was easier than I thought, thank you so much for entering and playing, because the answer, of course, was Dole Whips. And believe it or not, the origin, I'm a sucker for origin stories, the origin of the Dole Whip actually goes back to 1976, when Dole took over as the sponsor for the Enchanted Tiki Room in Disneyland from United Airlines. What this did was introduce Dole pineapple products into the parks, which enhanced sort of the tropical ambiance of the tropical serenade. Now, the actual creation of the Dole Whip itself, a milestone in history, occurred in 1983 at the Dole Technical Center in San Jose and made its debut and became very popular very quickly in 1984 in Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom in Adventureland, and then 2 years later in 1986 at Disneyland Park. And for a while, the Dole Whip was exclusive to the Disney parks and the Dole Plantation out in Hawaii, and some folks who tried to recreate it at home. But in 2023, Dole announced a retail rollout, making Dole Whip more accessible outside of these exclusive locations like Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and Hawaii. And now am I the only one who wants a Dole Whip? Anyway, I took all the correct entries, randomly selected one. Last week, you were playing for the WDW Radio 3D keychain, the stickers, the pin, and a mystery prize. And last week's winner, randomly selected, is Mark DeWeiss. So, Mark, congratulations. I'll get your prize package, which does not include a Dole Whip, out to you right away. And if you played last week and didn't win, that's okay, because here's your next chance to enter in this week's Walt Disney World Trivia Challenge. And this week's trivia question is simple, not necessarily easy, because what in Walt Disney World is or was known as the showplace of the shore? What or who is or was known as the showplace of the shore in Walt Disney World? You have until Sunday, April 28th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern to go to WDWRadio.com. Click on this week's podcast, use the form there. Again, you're going to play for the keychain, the stickers, the pin, and no, I'm not going to tell you this week either, another mystery prize. So good luck and have fun. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you again for taking the time to tune in this and every week. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on an upcoming show, email me at lou@wdwradio.com. And if you want to leave a voicemail, you can call 407-900-9391. That's 407-900-WDW1 with a question, a comment about this week's show, a suggestion for an upcoming episode, or even just a hello from the parks, and I will play it on the air at the end of the show. Please join the community and conversation over in the WDW Radio Clubhouse at wdwradio.com/clubhouse. Check out our event page on the site at wdwradio.com/events to find out about upcoming meets of the month. Thank you to everybody who came out to Disney's Hollywood Studios this past weekend. On the road events, including our meetup in London, England next month. Cruises, including our cruise this October on the Disney Magic out of Fort Lauderdale to Lighthouse Point, and our cruise on the brand new Disney Treasure in February. You can learn more about both those cruises and get a free no obligation quote from our friends over at Mousefan Travel by going to wdwradio.com/cruises. And you can also learn more about our upcoming trip to Japan in 2025 through Adventures by Disney by going to wdwradio.com/Japan25. And for not just these, but any of your upcoming travel, whether you're coming out to D23 Expo this summer, I am Mousefan Travel, going to have a booth again on the show floor. Or if you're looking to just book your next vacation or cruise, you can visit mousefantravel.com. They are my official and recommended provider. It's who I've used, it's who I've trusted, and why it's who I'm recommending for more than 17 years. And it's more than just getting you the best quote or finding you the best deal. It really is about the personal service and expert advice that comes at no cost to you. Again, visit them over at mousefantravel.com. And please go visit LouMongello.com if you're looking for a keynote speaker for your event, conference, or for your business. I share lessons learned from the Disney parks on customer service and leadership and experiences. Or if you are a creator or an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to build your brand, your business, or take your idea to the next level, you can find out some of the different ways I can help you. We can work together, learn more about my momentum. We can workshop in Walt Disney World this fall, as well as a few other things I'm working on. I'm going to be announcing and launching in the next couple of weeks. I'd love to be able to help you any way I can. Again, go visit LouMongello.com. And finally, most importantly, thank you so very much. I am incredibly grateful to you and for your friendship and support and taking the time to listen to the show this and every week, for being such an amazing part of the incredible community that you have created. So I hope that you have an amazing day and even better tomorrow. And always remember to be kind, be bold, be you, and choose the good in all that you do. I love and appreciate you. Have an amazing week. I hope to see you on the live show this Wednesday night. So until next time, thanks again. See ya.